case you didn't figure from my hat, I'm from the University of Detroit Mercy. Go Titans. And my name is Leo Hannifin. I'm a faculty member in engineering and lead some transit research, but my duty right now is to introduce our president of the university, Dr. Antoine Garibaldi. Prior to becoming president a couple of years ago, Dr. Garibaldi was president of Gannon University in Erie, Pennsylvania, and before that, he was provost of Howard University and vice president of academic affairs at Xavier University of Louisiana. He's the author of 11 books and over 85 research articles and chapters in his field of educational psychology. Today, he serves our city and our region in many ways, including the boards of the DIA, New Detroit, Brother Rice High School, and United Way for Southeastern Michigan Campaign Cabinet. He also serves the nation and the educational community in at least 6 other boards, including the Sister Thea Bowman Black Catholic Educational Foundation. A native of New Orleans, he graduated magna cum laude from Howard University and received his PhD in educational psychology from the University of Minnesota. Dr. Garibaldi.
Thank you very much, Leo, and how can you say no to Dean Hannifin? It's really a pleasure to see so many of you here and also to have you with us for the next day and a half, and I want to officially welcome you to University of Detroit Mercy. Things are a little quiet around here, but it's only because graduation was this past Saturday and Friday, and also summer school started last week, so our students are already concluding their second week of summer school, but there is a lot of activity around here. We are really pleased to host this important event and also to have an all-star cast of partners such as True, Trans4M, APTA, Michigan Now, and the Kresge Foundation, and many other organizations. Some of you I've already met this morning. But for over a century, our region has been known as a global transportation leader because of the auto industry's preeminence in the world. But unfortunately, over the last 60 years, our region's transit systems have not been best in class, but that's going to change very, very quickly. Over the last few decades, other regions across the nation have shown that revitalized transit systems can create dramatic value to a wide variety of constituents and also objectives. Personally, I've lived in Washington, D.C. 3 times, in the early 70s, the mid 70s, and also the early 80s, as well as in the mid 90s. And I saw the development of and the impact of the metro system on Washington, D.C., the surrounding areas in Virginia and Maryland. As I was saying a little earlier, it's very difficult when you tell a young 25-year-old who lives in Washington, like my niece, that there was no metro when I was an undergraduate student at Howard University in the early 1970s. But things have changed considerably. And it's also very similar in places like Minneapolis, St. Paul, where I went to graduate school, and even my own hometown of New Orleans that has seen some remarkable changes in transit over the last few years since Hurricane Katrina. And over the last few weeks, I've visited places like San Francisco and Houston and Atlanta, and also saw the impact that good public transit systems can have on a community and also the economic impact as well. So it stimulates economic development, and it also gets people to work, and it gets people to places where they live, and also people to places where they want to enjoy and recreate. So, but even more, it improves the environment and also the livability of all of our cities in ways that attract and keep young talent in those regions. At UDM, we are very proud of the contributions to improve transit in Detroit. Dean Hannifin has been a major leader in this. He didn't say how long he was dean, but he was dean for 21 years here at this university in the College of Engineering and Science. And we let him have a year off last year, but he's been just as busy during that year, and much of his time has really been spent on research related to transit and also other education and also outreach programs. But 7 years ago, a team from UDM and Deloitte created the initial plan for what will soon be built as the M1 rail system. And today at UDM, as part of the Moneta National Transit Research Coalition, more than 30 faculty members of ours and also students are studying what will enable more effective transit in Southeast Michigan, studying and influencing public policy, as well as the public opinion of transit, and also running summer transit camps for K through 12 students and creating graduate curriculum on our transit and community development work together. This is important, this partnership, and Dr. Hannifin will present an overview of some of the results from one of those studies today at lunch. But it takes more than just educators to move transit ahead, as we all know, and so we welcome you as leaders of a wide array of stakeholder groups from government and business, also to community organizations, and also those who are concerned about the needs of the environment, particularly workers and also individuals who are physically challenged and really rely on transit systems very heavily. So I'm confident today that we will have the beginning of a successful long-term partnership and also collaboration. And I also want you to know how much we appreciate your vigorous advocacy for enhanced transit in this entire region. And we're happy to host, and we know that this is going to be an exciting conference over this next day and a half, and we hope that you will come back often, even after this conference is over. So thank you very much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in between some of the breaks and some of the other sessions during the day. Thank you.
It is now my distinct pleasure and privilege to introduce the real prime mover behind this event, Marie Donigan. Marie was a state representative from 2005 to 2010 and was active in pursuing the RTA legislation during that period. She was named the Friend of Transit and Champion of Transit by the Michigan Public Transit Association. She has a master's degree in landscape architecture and regional planning from the University of Pennsylvania and is now executive director of the North Oakland Headwaters Land Conservancy. So she's taking on another cause for the environment. So, Marie.
Good morning, everybody. I swore I wasn't going to be that person that fumbles through a PowerPoint presentation, but I think I'm probably going to. Because now I don't even remember how you get it on the full screen.
F5.
Oh, there you go. See? That's why you have good friends. There you go. Unpacking the challenge. So, good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. It's so great to see some of my old friends, and thank you, Dr. Garibaldi, for hosting this event today. You know, as Leo said, I worked on transit when I was in the legislature, and after I was term limited, I didn't feel as if my work was done. So I attended the Transit Initiatives and Communities Conference in St. Louis in 2009, which is coming up in Atlanta in June, I believe, hosted by the Center for Transportation Excellence. And I heard some of these great speakers talk about how they built their transit systems in their regions, their successes, their failures, the good and the bad. And I learned so much. And as the RTA, the Regional Transit Authority, got up and running, I thought it made sense to me that everybody in this region should hear what I heard from those speakers. That planning, building, and funding a multimodal transit system is an enormous task with a lot of rewards, but that has huge benefits. But it's a challenge that we've been facing for more than 50 years, or it's one that we've just begun to face as the Regional Transit Authority does its work. So today, what we want to do, or today and tomorrow, is unpack that challenge and sort out some of the issues and just start having a conversation about public transit in Metro Detroit. But we are fortunate to have great speakers here today from St. Louis. We have folks from Atlanta, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. Did I say St. Louis? And Washington, D.C. They have years of experience and lots of battle scars to show for it. They'll discuss the transit systems, the transit planning process, and their advocacy efforts. And tomorrow, if you're here, You'll join some others to really get down the nuts and bolts of what a transit campaign looks like. How do you build a transit system that people will pay for, and then how do you get them to pay for it? But we're not going to talk, what we're not going to do is talk about transit modes. Is light rail better than BRT, or is Woodward better than Gratiot? We're not going to do that today. We'll leave that to the Regional Transit Authority. But we do hope to have some fun, and we hope by the end of the workshop, you'll understand the basics of public transit. You'll understand public transit more than you did before you walked in the room. We also want you to feel like you're part of an emerging coalition, the coalition that's going to need a lot of people to get this thing done. We also hope you'll have the tools you need to represent your community, your institution, your business, and that you have enough information so that you can support the work of the Regional Transit Authority. From transit planning all the way to the ballot box. It's going to be a long and interesting process. So we have a schedule. It's on the back of your thing, and we're going to try and stick to it. This morning we're going to find out who's here. We want to know who's going to be part of this coalition you're about to join. We also want to find out what you know, think don't know, think you've heard about transit in Metro Detroit. We also want to find out what's happening around the country from our folks from Washington, D.C. And we're going to hear about Los Angeles Transit, how they built a transit system from nothing in 30 years. During lunch, we're going to hear, as you heard from Dr. Hannifin, about the study they did here at U of D. And later, we'll find out from our speakers how all those regions built their systems. And then later, we're going to... this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at some of the myths of transit, right? Later, we're going to break out into some smaller groups to think about transit as it relates to your organization. If you come from a hospital, if you come from a small business, if you come from a large institution, we're going to find out how that relates to you and how you can get involved in the process. And then we'll move on to the next steps, the reception. So we have several talented facilitators who you'll meet throughout the day who are going to be working on some of these panels. But I do want you to meet Brandy Agerbeck over there. Everybody wave at Brandy. She's a graphic facilitator, and she's going to be mapping this conference. So you'll see her drawing the things that you say or that other people say. And then the images will be available to you if you left us your email. If you haven't, you can leave us your email, and you'll get those images on Monday morning. So I think I will wrap it up. Oh, this is Brandy. This is what she does. So we'll end with this. There are 4 million people in Metro Detroit who need better transit. Yet there's not even 100 people in this room. Building a transit system requires the support of a transit plan that's designed to get people where they need to go and a plan they're willing to pay for. The number of supporters will need to grow exponentially. What would get your neighbors and colleagues excited about actively supporting regional transit? Who's not here that should be here? How do we carry the message beyond this room? And in the end, the mega question, how do we build consensus for a regional transit system? And that's the question we're going to keep going back to as the day continues. So I'd like to introduce Chris Webb. Chris Webb is our facilitator for the day. He's going to keep us all on task. He's the director of the Engineering Society of Detroit Institute. It was founded in 2008. They are modeled after the National Academy of Science in Washington, D.C. They're a neutral, problem-solving forum, and their mission is to bring individuals together to solve the problems of the day. I met Chris several years ago, and he testified in front of my committee, and he was so awesome. I invited him back here to help us today. So, Chris.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm Chris McCarris. Some people know me, some people don't. I'm kind of a jerk. I'm bossy, and my job today is a timekeeper. So, if someone speaks too long, I'll cut them off. And it's my responsibility. I'm sorry, but that's how we're going to proceed in order to stay, along.
Thank you, Chris. Yes, Neil.
Announcements are being made. We are videotaping this because we know there's a lot of people who would like to have been here. They had conflicts, and there's more people that are going to hear about this afterwards. So we're going to post these
my job today, I think, is to try to bring out and be sort of your servant about this. Our job is to really have you engaged. This is your workshop, and I stress the first part of the word. It is a workshop. You're going to start out today by hearing some great people. I would really say to you, take notes, listen to what they have to say, because they're setting the foundation or the stage for what you're going to be doing this afternoon. And what this afternoon is a work group where you're going to look at this question, the mega question, and consider what are solutions for it, how in fact can we implement those solutions, and who is responsible and who should support those solutions. So you really have it's going to be rolling up your sleeves time. And what we're going to hear, I think, is some lessons learned, things that might have been good, things that might have been ugly, and we're going to then put that into our brains collectively to try to create something that's right for our region. So I think you're really going to enjoy it. I hope you are engaged. I'm sort of the one, if you have, or all of us can, any of the facilitators, please let us know, but we want to meet your expectations today of being as inclusive as possible. You'll have a voice, and I think it's really going to be great. Just to wrap that, at the end of the day, you will hear all the work groups, what their report outs are, and then you'll be able to vote as to what you consider to be the best of the best. So I hope you will enjoy that. I'm going to be fairly short about this because we want to stay on track, and I think my job right now, unless there's something else that any of the group feels that needs to be said, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, which is Toby Barlow. And Toby, you can come on down when you... He is the creative director of Team Detroit, Michigan. He began his career with Hal Riney and Partners in San Francisco, where he worked on the Saturn car company, so a different kind of car company, a different kind of transit system maybe. He moved to New York, where he served as creative director of TWA, which is Chiat, and he's worked there in New York for some time, 2003, where he co-created the Bold Moves documentary, which was used by Ford in its transition time. So he's really had an experience in both profit and nonprofit world, which is pretty neat. He was intrigued by what was going on here, the culture of change in Detroit, so he moved here to be a part of Ford's turnaround, and now he's here to talk about transit. Let's welcome Toby. Are we good with this?
Oh yeah, I just have one picture.
Let's escape that, sure. And we'll go to this off. If it'll be good. No, it's being bad. There we go, and I think your picture's right there, right?
All right,
There you go. And if you want to just,
there we go, perfect.
okay, is that fine?
Yeah?
All right.
Oh, even better. Good morning, everybody. My name's Toby Barlow. I'm the ad guy. And how much time do I have, Chris?
You have about 15 minutes.
Perfect. I have been here in Detroit for 6 years, going on 7 years in October, so 6.5 years. Does anyone know what this is a picture of? Does anybody, a show of hands? 1, 2, 3, okay. So I'll tell you the rest of you in a minute what it is. It is really an honor to be here. This is a passion of mine. I grew up on the bus in Washington, D.C., and then when they built a subway, I grew up on the subway. I commuted for years in San Francisco on BART, and then lived in New York City and totally lived on the F train line, and then moved here to work on selling as many cars to as many people as I possibly could. I'm the global creative director, which means I travel a lot. I've traveled in the last 6 months, to Thailand, to China, to Brazil, to Russia, all over the United States. And what I've discovered is that no matter what form of government you have, whether it's a tyranny or a democracy, or it's run by a king or a parliament, you cannot get traffic to move. It doesn't matter, which to me is sort of the crux of the issue that we're here to discuss, which is the future and how to make it happen. This is the Soviet-built subway in Moscow. I was there 2 weeks ago, and it was kind of a trip. I did not expect it to be as wonderful as it was, and then I was even more amazed when I read the history. The lot of the subway system in Moscow was built in the midst of World War II. So while they were being attacked by Nazis, while Moscow itself was under siege, they kept digging and they kept working on their transit system. So in my opinion, Michigan has no excuse whatsoever to not have a great functioning and strong public transit system. So I want you all to keep this in mind. As you think about the obstacles, as you think about what can or can't happen. I mean, granted, they had Stalin, who was probably making them do this. We don't have it, nor do we want. I'm not advocating Stalin, but it is important to keep in mind that you can overcome a lot of obstacles and make things happen. My favorite motto that I invented recently, trademarking now, is don't let perceived reality get in the way of progress, of real progress. So keep that in mind as well, I think, today. I'd like to do some introductions, and I don't know any of you, so I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, and I'm going to point randomly first and just get people used to the idea of talking about themselves. So you, who are you, and what are you going to do today? I'm talking to you.
My name's Denny Zane. I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm
Or just shout it out. Just shout it out.
My name is Denny Zane, and I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I'm a speaker here today.
And Denny, what are you going to speak about?
I'm going to speak about a transit revolution in the least likely place on the known planet.
Los Angeles?
Exactly.
I think Motor City would challenge that claim. I think the least likely to, though I will say, there is, and I saw it quickly on the list, there is a mythology that the big three don't want a public transportation system. That may have been the case back in the days of Roger Rabbit, but today I think that you'll find a lot of people all the way to the very top of the organization who recognize the importance and want to support public transportation both here and around the world. So, what are you going to do today? Yeah. No, you. Yeah, shout it out.
Hi, Lori Funk, Flagstar Bank, and we've got 3,000 employees in the state of Michigan. A lot of them don't drive. Work in a safe, clean, cheap way.
Absolutely. I have an assistant. When our offices were downtown, she rode the bus every day, and she actually, when we moved to Dearborn, had to learn again how to drive a car, which was a very important and traumatic event for her, and I wish she didn't have to do it. I wish we had a functioning public transportation system that she could have taken. You, right there. Who are you? What are you going to do? Not you, down below you. Yes, you, in the white shirt. Yes.
Hi, I'm Shaquila Myers. I'm a policy analyst for the Michigan Senate Democrats, and I handle transportation policy. So that's why I'm here today.
You're in the heart of it. You are. All right, so everybody talk to her. She's the crux of the situation right there. All right, you, sir. Yes. No, not you. Down there.
My name is Fred Westbrook. I've worked driving the bus for the Department of Transportation here in the city of Detroit. I'm also affiliated with the Amalgamated Transit Group. And I'm here today to really get an understanding of the components of building a transit system and what it takes to make it work.
I would like to know the same thing. So hopefully we'll all learn that together today. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off at the top there, yes. I know, it was my fault. Yes. So tell us who you are and what you're here to do.
My name is Randy Renshaw. I'm from Michigan State University. Grew up in Michigan.
So you're from here and then you're working on public transit in San Francisco now? So you're going to come and bring all those answers home. That's right. All right. Well, we're very happy to have you here. And so you in the green top there.
I'm Nicole Dupuy. I work in the policy department at the American Public Transportation Association in Washington, D.C. Oh, thank you. And I also am the primary staff advisor for a transit advocacy group called the National Alliance of Public Transportation Advocates. So I am here to learn about the transit journey, shall we call it, in Detroit, and also hopefully meet some new and excited and energized advocates.
Excellent. Well, welcome from Washington. Who else is here from Washington, D.C.? Anybody? There you go. All right, well, welcome. You're here from D.C. too? Okay, I'm a D.C. kid, so I've got passion for that brand. All right, so we're going to keep going here for a little bit. In the far back corner with the glasses and the computer.
This got me.
My name is Deborah Shroud. I'm with Avant Partners out of St. Louis, and we spend time going around the country and helping different cities with transit education and consensus building and coalitions, et cetera. And my husband will be speaking today and tomorrow, and I just tell him what to do.
Excellent. I think really, you're, okay. We talked a little bit about consensus coming. I was raised a Quaker, and I think the important thing to think about in terms of consensus is that nothing captures consensus better than a strong story and a strong narrative. And I think that figuring out how to tell the story of the importance of public transportation here and how it can happen. I think everybody, my feeling is that everybody in the area kind of wants it. Everyone kind of gets that it's very important and that we need to grow it, but they just don't see how we're going to get there without a lot of pain, and they'll say, oh, we're broke, and oh, it's just too hard to get Oakland County and Wayne County to work together, blah, blah, blah. So I think that, breaking those old narratives with a new story is something we should really focus on in the next few days. You, sir, well, you want to tell us who you are and what we're going to hear from you in the next few days?
I'm Brian Miller. I'm the Vice President of Amalgamated Transit Union Local Division 26. I represent the fine men and women who provide the transportation services here in the city of Detroit. We're here to find out where we plug in. Where do we get in at, and what is the message we can send? What part of this process can we help accelerate, generate, and drive, actually? We see over 130,000 riders a day. And in that capacity, we have the ability to get a message out, and we want to begin to send the correct message.
Fantastic. I think that one very interesting thing to keep in mind is the era of the car is an evolving one. It used to be, when I was a kid, teenagers would get their first cars and they'd go to work on them and they loved them, and there was a car passion. And that really, I think, drove the American dream to a great degree. And public transportation and alternative forms of transportation were sort of moved to the side. I just opened today, when I was waiting for this to start, an article that was entitled, let's see here, if I can get my phone to work. It basically, are we falling out of love with our cars? I mean, that was the headline today in CNN. And it talked about the fact that, the youth that used to really drive a car culture are all sort of growing disinterested. They care more about technology, they care more about iPhones than they do about Mustangs. So that's scary for me, and that's my problem. But it's your opportunity, and it's your opportunity to step in and provide the alternative. Cars are, expensive, and people have less expendable income. People who are riding the public transportation today need it. They need it to get to work. Those needs are just going to grow. So the mission that you have and the job that you have today is really critical. I will continue to spend billions of dollars to try to get people to buy cars, but we will also work to support the work that you're doing and to help drive the narrative and drive the new alternatives and drive the new future for Detroit. So thank you all for being here. I know I only introduced some of you, but I think you got an idea of the spectrum of people who are here and the different kind of energy and the different kind of dialogue and the narrative that they can bring. So I hope you guys have a great time. I'll be here for most of the morning and can talk if anybody has any questions. Thanks.